There is no shortage of valid criticism that one can make against Jordan Peterson. From his close association with nefarious characters to his hypocritical inability to answer straightforward questions while confidently speaking on issues that he's not an expert on.
Do you believe Jesus was born a virgin?
As I said before, there are elements of the text that I don't feel qualified to comment on.
Not everyone is a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, period. And fuck you if you don't like it.
But there is one criticism of Jordan Peterson that is very popular and very understandable, but in my opinion, completely wrong. The claim is that when Peterson says things like, "What do you mean by believe?" It proves that there's nothing substantial to his underlying philosophy, given how it leads to obfuscation and dodging basic questions.
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
This is such bullshit. This is such bullshit. It's like, do you believe in an all-knowing, all-loving God? He's like, what does that even mean?
But my claim is that Peterson's philosophy actually better reflects reality because it centers consciousness and the human experience as opposed to the so-called objective material world. Consider the following clip from what I believe to be Jordan Peterson's single best lecture of all time.
And it does mean you have to reconceptualize your idea of objects. Like an object seems like a unidimensional thing in some sense. It's an object. But most of the things that people interact with aren't like that at all. So, like, here's an example. Let's say you have, let's say you get you're writing the MCAT. You want to go to medical school. You've written the MCAT. You get the envelope in the mail. It tells you what your score is. You hold the envelope. What are you holding? Well, if you think about it from an objective perspective, it's an envelope. Who cares? It's just a little piece of paper, right? It's a rectangle of paper. But that isn't what you're holding at all. That's not what that thing is. That's how you see it, but it's not what it is at all. It's not even, and you know that. Your body knows that because you're shaking. It's like, well, what are you scared of? The envelope? Well, the fact that you see it as an envelope is only an indication of just how narrow your perceptions actually are. Because it's a portal, right? It's a portal through which you're going to walk into one of two worlds, one in which you're in medical school and the other in which you're not. And it also actually contains the past, which is really strange because you think, well, you already know what the past is. It's no, you don't. Whatever that score is in there determines what your past was. And you know that too. You go watch a movie and a bunch of things happen in the movie and then something twisted happens at the end and all of a sudden everything that you thought about the movie was wrong. And a whole new past for the movie pops into being. Well, are you a pre-med student? A valid pre-med student? Well, the score will determine whether or not you were. Very strange. Very strange. Because you think of the past as fixed. You know, and you think of the things that you're interacting with as the things that you see. And they're not. And your body is smarter than that, way smarter than that, because it responds to, you could say, this is sort of a Rogerian perspective, your body is more likely to respond to what the thing actually is than how it is that you see it.
It's difficult to overstate how significant this last point is, and it's the central thesis of Maps of Meaning. Reality consists of two distinct domains, the world of objects and objective reality, and the world of action and experience, which we call phenomenological reality. What something is not a function of what it's made of or what propositions you can claim to be true about it. What something is a function of the impact it has on your behavior and action. This is such a useful and productive insight, and one that Peterson's most intelligent and competent critics agree with him on.
All right, so if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it, and you die for it. That's what I mean by that.
Okay, so this sounds a bit dramatic, and without context, also extremely strange. And you can see from the facial expression of one of the people reacting that, yeah, this is an odd thing to say. But you know what? And this might surprise you. I kind of actually agree with Jordan Peterson here, and I think I understand the point he's trying to make. Peterson always likes to point out that people often say they believe things, but when it comes to looking at their actions, they don't act in accordance with the things they say that they believe, which means they probably don't really believe those things. For example, if I said to you that I believe totally that it's not going to rain today, but then you saw me pick up an umbrella on my way out of the door, what would you think? You'd probably think that I was either just lying to you, or that maybe I thought I kind of believed it, but in my heart of hearts, I don't really. So what you really believe is not just what you say you believe, or even maybe what you think you believe, but what you act out, What do your actual behaviors point to?
It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action.
Understanding that what an object is a function of the effect that it has on the subject perceiving that object is what allows Peterson to take a more psychological and consciousness-centered approach to reality. And it's certainly not a perfect approach, and it's riddled with flaws, but I believe it better reflects the experiences of the people that live in reality, you and I. And it's easy to meme on Peterson when he says unironically, it depends on what you mean by book. But I think a lot of people, including myself, know full well what he means in a clip like this one.
I was talking to one of my students yesterday. He had a pretty smart thing to say about images. We were talking about deep images, the sorts that you might see in a really high quality museum. So maybe they're, 15th century or 16th century Renaissance masterpieces. They're inexhaustible to some degree, which is why they're in museums and people go look at them, decade after decade. And it's partly because every time you look at them, you're different. You go in one week, you look at it, you see something. You go in the next week, you look at it, you see something else. Well, it's partly because you're bringing something entirely different to the situation. And the image is complicated enough to allow it to reflect something new to you, depending on the stance you take in relationship to it. And lots of things are like that. Lots of things are like that. A book you read when you were 16 is going to be an entirely different book when you read it when you're 35. You say, well, the book's the same. It's like, depends on how you define the book, because it isn't even obvious where the book is exactly. Well, it's on my shelf in the library. It's like, no, that's a chunk of paper that's on your shelf in the library. Where exactly the book is, that's a much more difficult question to consider. So it depends on how you define the book.
In my opinion, this philosophical approach allows us to notice important things that we might not otherwise. For example, Peterson upsets a lot of people because he claims that everyone is religious and that a belief in the supernatural is irrelevant in defining people as religious or not. While I certainly understand the annoyance and obfuscation this causes, I think it actually offers a lot of utility. When people say politics is a religion, it's better than just saying politics is a fervent ideology or something that people fanatically believe in. It allows us to use the framework we have for religion with its symbols, its institutions, its basis of identity for a lot of people, and apply that to the political reality we live in. People define their identity based on their political beliefs. They organize their institutions and their social communities around them. And people are willing to kill and die for those beliefs. The symbol of the MAGA hat, the rainbow flag, the thin blue line flag, all of these symbols have the same psychological effect on many people as the symbol of the cross or the crescent moon. And all of these political ideologies that these symbols represent have deep moral prescriptions, fundamental claims about the nature of reality and identity and what it means to be a human and what it means to be a man or a woman or all this stuff. Understanding that Western civilization is in the midst of a religious war between opposing theological worldviews about the nature of reality, about moral claims, not just ideas that people strongly believe in. That's what's critical. It doesn't matter if there's supernatural claims associated with it. What matters is the degree to which people stake their entire lives on it and are willing to go to war over it. And that increasingly, unfortunately, seems to be the situation we're in. So until next time, good luck and Godspeed.